Hi everybody, I'm Debbie Frank and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and my moniker is Frankly Stamping. You can find Frankly Stamping on YouTube and Facebook, and I have a blog at franklystamping.com. Today I thought I would hop on and show you the new paper pumpkin kit called Celebrate Spring, and it's all about spring and Easter coming up. And it makes 9 cards, and I did go ahead and put one of each of the original cards together, and then I have several alternates that I'll show you. This is the color palette that is in this kit, plus crumb cake, but I didn't want to stamp my eggs in crumb cake, so I just pulled the bright spring colors. This is the stamp set that it comes with. You get 2 Easter eggs, sweet spring greetings, and a little bit of grass. And I like this grass. It really looks nice on the cards to use like under your basket, or to put your eggs in, and that's a nice grass stamp. And then we have Happy Easter, which is kind of on the wave, and that goes with, I have one here, it goes with this wavy label. I did have one of those left over. Now I did cut my Happy Easter apart so that I could use it on top of each other, and then because it's sticks to the block, I was able to straighten it out a little bit so I could just use it as a standard greeting and not the wavy part. And then I love Hello Friend, because you can use that on anything. Hello Friend for a birthday, Hello Friend for any kind of celebration, or just I'm thinking about you, Hello Friend. And then of course the sweet spring greetings. So that's the stamp set. And then here I will show you the cards that I made. And Backyard Stamper, go check out her YouTube channel. She also does alternates, and we have a Zoom class and we go through the alternates with some of our team members that also get paper pumpkin, so that they can get some additional ideas. This is one of the original cards. And you can see I used, I cut off, let me start again. The card bases usually are the same color front and back. Now it may not have the print, on the back, but I cut that off and I used it for the base of another card. And then I'll just put this on a solid basic white thick for a card base. So that's an original, one of the original cards you're supposed to make. Here is another original, very cute. And I did pull in some of the Easter, let me grab that, some of the Easter embellishments. See if I have a pack here. Yes, the ones up here under here are yellow. Do I see the package I had opened? Of course not. But the ones up under the flap here are yellow. I wish there had been pink. There's pink eggs, but I didn't think that would work, in the middle of my flowers. So I just used the yellow here. It does come with sequins, and I've used most of the iridescent ones, and I think these are peach pie. I didn't really care for this color. I did try to use some of them up, but I decided to pull in some of my other little flat dots. So that's another original, except for, like I said, like the little dots that I added. And I love this little egg bundle. I wish there had been more of those in the kit, because I needed them for one of my alternates. And then this also is an original, except it's supposed to have the rabbit here, this rabbit, but I needed it for my alternates, and I thought it looked fine without it, and I could add, you know, some jewels or something in here if I decided I wanted to send this card. Or, I mean, I think it looks fine without it. So I pulled my rabbit out to use on another card. Okay, so those are the original cards as you're supposed to make them, except for me pulling the rabbit out. So here is one alternate that I came up with. I used the exposed brick 3D embossing folder, which is still current in the store, Stampin' Up store. And you can see here where I put this back. I had already cut it apart, but I pulled it back together, but I kind of straightened it out a little bit so that it's kind of more of a straight line and not wavy. And then here I used some of the little pink eggs from those Easter embellishments. They're called Easter Assortment. And I just used some of those little eggs, and I made a little border down here. Now this designer paper is from the envelope, the back of the envelope. I just cut this off, and then I used my stylish shapes, and I cut out this label out of the designer or the stylish shapes and used it to make my panel. And then this is just one of the little tulips, the punch outs from the kit. And then I just added a couple of little eggs down here, and I stamped the grass across there. So that is alternate number 1. Alternate number 2, I made this into a shaker card. And then I took one of the eggs and colored, I turned it over because the eggs are green, like this. And there I did stamp the Shy Shamrock on the Shy Shamrock egg. And here I turned it backwards and used just the white and stamped the Balmy Blue on there. And then the little dots, one of my little dots popped off. But in my little shaker stuff, I found just a few little dots to put on the middle of the flowers, just a little something. So there's my shaker card, and I made 2 of those. Not exactly the same, but close. And I just took that Easter egg stamp, and I stamped the different colors of the kit, you know, as my background. And I did not use the yellow because this background is a pale, pretty in pink. And I just didn't think the yellow would show up very well. So I just used the blue, the pretty in pink, the blue, the green, and used those colors. So there's my shaker card. And to do that, you'll just take your wreath and glue a piece of window sheet to the back. When that's dry, cut around it, and you can see I got as close as I could, but you can still see a little border, but you don't notice it when you're just looking at the card like, you know, like a normal person would look at a card, not examining it and not under bright light. So, and then you will take these little foam strips, and they're sticky on 2 sides, and you'll just wind that around. Now, if you don't have any of those, here's something else that you can do, and this was a tip by my friend, the Backyard Stamper. You have him, you know, you have your dimensionals. Just take this border and cut that off, cut that strip off, cut here and here, and you'll have a whole strip there. And then you'll have a whole strip across the bottom. So you'll have 4 strips that you could use to go around the back of your wreath. So if you don't have any of these, make do with what you have. Use your dimensional strips. Okay, and then you will put your, you know, a little pinch or 2 of your little shaker elements in there. And then keep it to the middle, as close to the middle as you can. and then take your wreath and put it down on your background. And you have a shaker card. Okay, so that's that card. Then I took one of the blue backgrounds. I cut, well, hold on. Let me do the green one first because it's something that I saved. Okay, so here's the green one that I made. And I took my Stylish Shapes, the second largest, and I cut this square out. Boy, those leaves, the wind is really hitting those leaves up against the house. And I didn't have enough of these to do two exactly alike. So I just took 2 of the eggs, flipped them over, and made a blue and a pink one, and I colored them in a little bit. And then glued my bunny right here to the base, and so he's attached. And then I just propped his ears up with a one dimensional, so that holds him still. And then I just added a bow. And then here's where I cut this apart to use it on top of each other. And I just stamped that through the window. And then the back is like this. Now you could take your bunny and kind of, cut out like a square to kind of cover that, but I think it looks fine. And I don't think anybody is going to be upset that they can see the bunny, on the back side of the window. And then I just took some of the eggs and put across the bottom to decorate the inside. And same thing with this one. Now this one looks a little not quite as good because I used 2 of the I colored the eggs with my markers, my alcohol markers, and so they kind of bled through a little bit. So if I had any extra eggs, which I do not, I could cut out, part of an egg to put on the back of there, but it's not bothering me. So, and then there's my egg border. And I could have added a little grass here, but I didn't think it needed it. And then I had added a little bit. These are the sequins that were in the kit that came with it. And when I went to put together my last cards, I had lost these and could not find them anywhere. And I finally found them this morning right before I went live, and they had fallen on the floor. So, okay, now I saved the square that I cut out of the green card. I saved that, and I used it for this. And then I just cut my Pretty in Pink 1/8 of an inch larger for a border. Stamped this in Pretty in Pink, added a few of the sequins, added one of the tulips here, and just added a bow. And then on the other one that I made, this is where I couldn't find the rest of the sequins. I could only find one. And so I just added some of these little, the Easter assortment on here. And then this one is a pop-up. So I made a little pop-up mechanism with a 4 1/4 inch strip of white cardstock, and I scored it in 3/4 inches wide, so 3/4 by 4 1/4, and I scored it at 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then I folded those all with my bone folder, and the little flap I folded under so that I could glue that together, and it makes a square like this, a hollow square. And then I folded it flat and stuck that into the fold of my card and then just closed it. Now, when I went to put my basket on, I did trim along this side. I trimmed some of the white off and cut the bump off right there. And then when you glue this on, don't go, let me just look at this one. I kind of tilted this basket a little bit to the right so it would fit more, on the top of that folding mechanism. And this one I didn't. This one I just put straight up and down, and you can see the folding mechanism a little bit right here. So if you tilt it a little bit to the right, but don't go all the way up, like leave a 1/16 of an inch here, because otherwise when I open this up all the way, See, it wants to catch right there. So on the second one I made, I didn't go quite up as far, but I also didn't tilt it. So be careful where you're putting your adhesive, because you don't want adhesive showing right there and sticking, you know, sticking your card together. So this is the one, like I said, I needed another bunny, and I needed more of the egg grouping. This one I just used the eggs and stamped them with the colors of the kit and added the bunny. And then this one I saved and used the egg cluster, added the little tag and a bow. And then I didn't particularly care for these yellow flowers, but I thought they looked okay poked in the grass over here. And I added some of those Easter assortment dots, which I liked better than the yellow or orange, whatever they were, sequins. So there's the inside of that one. And this one's a little different in that it has the bunny. And I do have some more of these yellow flowers I could probably stick in there, but that's my little pop-up card. And then I had, I believe, one more. No, two more. This is, I had cut the back off of the green, one of these. The other one that I was going to, you know, just put on a white card base. I will tell you, these whites do not match. And on one of the cards, I was very particular about it, and I did not like this, because this looks dingy to me compared to the bright white in the kit. So what I did was I took one of the envelopes that I was using, you know, the pink part of the flap, and I cut the rest of the envelope open, and I was able to use this piece, and I was able to use this piece, and I just covered that white card base so that the whites matched. Now this one I just used a regular white, or basic white card base, and you can see the difference in the white here. Now most people, maybe they wouldn't notice, I don't know, but I do notice it. And we didn't have any pretty and pink dots, right? I looked all through the embellishments I have, so I pulled out my pretty and pink alcohol marker, and I colored the white dots in the Moody Palette Glossy Dots. And you can see I showed you on another video how you know, whatever color you need, take your alcohol markers, and if you can find some white, some of your white dots, or some of your white embellishments, like the pearls, you can just color those with your alcohol markers. Now it may take, if you don't like, so you can see a little bit, it's like pearlized. You can color it a second time after it dries. Just make sure it dries before you attempt to put another coat of color on it. So that's what I did. I made pretty and pink dots out of these Moody Glossy Dots, and I added the grass behind here. And then I had a lot of the greenery left over. So I just took some of the greenery and tried to position my tulips where it would make a little border down here. And then I just put Hello Friend. And I did not do anything on the inside of this one. And I can use that, like I said, I can use it for any any event, or any, just thinking of you or whatever. Now this is my other card, and this is a template that I found. Shoot, I was going to tell you whose template this was. I saw a video that she had done, and I loved this layout. So I did go to her website and see how she had done it. And you can see here, I used the white envelope to cover my basic white. See, look at the difference. And so I covered, since I was going to use the envelope flap anyway, it's like, why not use the envelope? So I covered my cardstock with the envelope piece and trimmed it up. And then I cut my piece of pretty pink, and then I took the back side of the envelope and cut it enough, you know, for my other layer. And then this panel is embossed, and this is 3/4 by 4 1/8, I believe. And this is 1 1/8, I believe. And then When I went to punch, this is the 1 7/8 inch punch and the 2-inch punch so that I could layer them. I punched this out of this back layer back here in the middle, so you can't see it, and you're going to cover it up anyway. So, you know, punch wisely. I mean, use what you have. And then this, you can either punch from an envelope or you can punch from the back side. I did not care for this color, this yellowish, whatever this is. I think it's supposed to be a pale lemon lolly, but I don't know. I don't think it looks like that. So I just punched out of the back of one of those, and it's the bright white, like the envelopes and all of the other insides of those card panels are. So that's where I got my white punch circle. And then I just used my Pretty in Pink, Hello Friend, added a tulip and added a bow, and a few of the sequins. And like I said, I don't care for those yellow sequins, but it is what it is. And I was trying to use some of them up, and I don't think I did the inside of this one either. So here's two. This one I used a narrower border, and then I forgot to enlarge, you know, this panel just a little bit, but I think the white looks good. I like the white shining through, so it's fine. And then this one I left more border on the outside and closed up that gap a little bit, but it's up to you how you want it to look. So those, I believe that's all of my alternates for this kit. And I didn't end up having any more card bases, so I used up everything except for a few, you know, of the tags. I had that left, and this was the last one that I made and didn't cut another envelope open. And then the little pekin' bunny. And this one is our pop-up card with our pop-up mechanism. Another shaker card with the 2 different kinds of Easter eggs. And then the little pink, another Pretty in Pink one. And then these were just the originals. So I think we came out with some cute alternatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have six different alternatives on this set, and especially our little pop-up Easter basket. I think turned out so cute. And like I said, if you have a bunny, you know, that you could put behind there, I mean, I think that looks very cute. I just didn't have enough, you know, of the big cluster of eggs. But so that's all I have for you today. Please help me build my channel. I'm almost to 100, so I would appreciate if you would subscribe and give me a thumbs up to help more people to see my video. And if you liked this, please share it with your friends. I'm sure that maybe they also get paper pumpkin, or maybe they're thinking about getting paper pumpkin. I think the kits have evolved. I didn't particularly think the quality was that great on, like, years ago, the ones that I got. But I think the later ones have really stepped up the quality. And it's kind of fun putting together these alternatives of the kit to see what else you can come up with to, you know, spark your creativity. So if you would like to subscribe, I will put my link to my store down in the comments under more, and a link to my blog if you'd like to check that out. But thanks for your support, and I hope you have a great Tuesday. Bye, guys.